Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to start our first kind of module of videos, and we're going to cover kind of the history of bows out there and the different kind of designs for hunting bows out there. We're also going to cover just a little bit on safety that you need to realize. Safety when it comes to bows can really be arbitrary, because you need to not only be safe while you make it, you need to also be safe while you use it. It is a weapon. It's no different than a firearm. In some states of the US, it is actually classified as a firearm, and you do need to have permits and all that associated with, if you just the same as you have if you had a rifle. So you really need to make sure you check your local ordinance to make sure that if you make one of these bows, you're not breaking any laws by making a firearm illegally. Now, when it comes to shop safety, you're going to want to make sure you wear eye protection. Splinters are going to be flying. There's going to be dust, everything else. You want to make sure you have a mask to protect your respiratory system. You don't want to have a bunch of sawdust or epoxy resin fumes inside your lungs. It's not fun. Now, when you're in the shop also and you're using power tools, stuff like bandsaws, table saws, any kind of thing that has movement and gears, drill presses, you want to avoid using gloves. Now, people probably think at home, I want to wear my gloves, I want to keep my hands safe, but that is actually going to be the downfall. That glove has usually some loose tips on it, a little bit of fabric, a little piece of string. All it takes is to get caught in that blade, and that blade is going to turn around and just spool you right into it. And there's plenty of bad photos out there on Google where people have had their hands literally spliced in half because their glove got caught in a saw. So don't let it happen to you. Keep your hands, you're going to need them to work, and that's going to be really hard to come back from even after surgery. Now, when it comes to actual use of bows, the thing you need to check is you need to always inspect all your arrows, especially if you're using carbon fiber or fiberglass arrows. You need to check if there's any nicks or dings or any kind of thing that looks like there's might have been damage, because what can happen is when you release the energy from the bowstring can cause a catastrophic failure in the shaft, which will actually explode. And that's going to send pieces of shrapnel going into your hand. The front end of your bow is just going to fall right down, and then what your string's going to do is it's going to jab that arrow straight into your hand where it broke off. People who have that happen often have to go get surgeries to get tendons repaired. Tendons recede up into their arm. It's just not fun. So really make sure you take the time and check those arrows before you fire them. Many arrows nowadays, they even have safety labels on them asking you to check them each time before you shoot it for that very reason. Now, the same thing can also go for your bow. If you're using something like a long bow or even a takedown bow with a riser, after repeated use, that stress on the wood, especially if you choose really weak woods, you can use a red oak wood just like I use, but the wood that you source from your lumber yard locally could be weaker in some way, could be left out in the rain, who knows what. If it's a weak wood and you start using it and that pounds of pressure, your bows go from 80 to 150 pounds of pressure sometimes. And that wood's eventually going to fail. When it fails, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be splinters flying, and sometimes the riser will split in half and fling you in the face, and you just want to be really careful with that. If you haven't fired a bow for the first time, be cautious. Really just gently bring out the string for the first couple times to see if it can handle everything. I've seen very many YouTube videos where people string their bow up, go to use it for the first time, and it splinters in half, or the string breaks and slaps them in the face and leaves a nice big cut down their face. So just take the time, make sure you really check all your equipment before you use it. All right, so let's go ahead and head on to the next video part of this module, where we're going to start covering more of the designs out there and the history of each bow. We're going to start off with long bows and work all the way up into the modern compound bow.